It was election day this week, and we've got our fingers crossed that Republicans are going to win California.
We found a gold mine of marriage advice this week, and we are going to help all the married couples out there.
Christians are out there making movies and shows, and we talked to one of them, Brock Heasley.
All this and more on
The Bee Weekly.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Therapy Online. Do you ever wish that life came with a user manual? You know, I used to have a 1977 Firebird formula, and I had to buy that, car auto repair manual thing that they used to have. I wish life came with a repair manual like that. So when it's not working for you, it's normal to feel stuck. Therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions and learn productive coping skills, which makes therapy the closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine called you. BetterHelp has connected over 3 million people with licensed therapists. It's convenient, secure, and accessible anywhere. For me personally, talking to someone, whether that's a pastor or a counselor or a therapist when I'm going through tough times, that's been a big help in my life. Everyone deserves to feel their best. BetterHelp makes it easier to get started. Get unstuck with BetterHelp. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/BabylonB. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/BabylonB. Hey everyone, welcome to the Babylon V podcast. I'm hanging out with Adam and Sam. Now, Sam, you've hosted a couple interviews with us, but I don't know if we ever actually introduced you. Have we?
Jarret said, "This is Sam, one of our writers." Yeah, one of our writers.
Yeah, you're a writer or
that was
something.
the end of it. Yeah.
You just kind of...
That's as much as introduction as I would like.
Yeah, he's been great on the interview shows, though.
And he actually prepares and
Yes.
reads the book ahead of time.
He
That
knows about theology and stuff. Yeah.
That was one of the greatest moments in our Dennis Prager interview. It's like I just run in and I sit in the chair and he's like, "Now, Dennis, on chapter 4 of your book." And I'm like, "Wait, you read the book?" You're like, and it's this massive thing on Deuteronomy. So.
It was fun. And then you just heckled him with like repeated Jewish space lasers and he could take it.
Yeah. Well, making fun of Jews is a key.
That's like one of our
element
guests that was here yesterday. Sam knows like everything about the bee. He's like an encyclopedia. Like we were, the guest was in here yesterday talking to me, and I've been here a year, and Sam's been here like a couple of months. And the guy's like, "So how many writers do you guys have?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think this is between like 10 and 20 or something." And Sam's like, "There's 22. 5 are in the Midwest. 6 are down south." It's like I don't know where else.
Sounds like he knows more than I do.
Exactly.
It's a way to add value. You just you learn a lot. You be a bottleneck where you can.
It's good.
Another thing Sam knows a lot about is women. And so we have advice for wives because you're married.
Correct.
Right. And or I guess you know a lot about women.
Yes.
Just one.
Only one wife for now.
Yeah. So we found a really cool old book that one of our video editors brought in. Have you seen this?
Oh, nice. I have not. No.
Oh, this is going to be awesome. And it has advice for wives on how to please their husbands. And it's like from the 70s.
Oh, this should be good.
It's wonderful.
Nice.
And it's going to be great. Also, this is midterm elections week. So it was kind of interesting. We'll talk about the results. It's interesting to see what happened as it rolled in last night. So red wave, red mirage, red tsunami.
We'll
discuss.
Red tide, red trickle,
ripple,
red
and we'll see
red
if
ripple.
it dissipates or not.
And I think
It's still sloshing around a little.
Yeah. Red foam.
I know we'll talk a little more in depth a little bit later, but I think as long as they take those two, like one of the House and the Senate, then you can stop everything, right? Like that's the main.
It's at this point. So at the time that we're taping this, results are still coming in. It looks likely that we'll take the House and like slim chance of Senate, but Senate will probably stay the same. But we'll see.
So all right, well, not everything that everybody hoped for, but we'll talk. Well, we have a subscriber dare now.
This is Subscriber Dare.
This one is from Mike Barnes. It says, "Subscriber dare. I will do the bundle subscription and buy all the guidebooks if you say Pearlfield Bistro opening soon in Richland Center, Wisconsin. I've been renovating it for over a year while listening to the Babylon Bee podcast. I've been listening since the beginning. You do a great job. By the way, Riot is the best Carmen album / movie. And finally, if any of you are in Southwest Wisconsin, stop by for a meal on me."
All right.
Well, I will say it again to be clear. Pearlfield Bistro opening soon in Richland Center, Wisconsin. And I'm definitely going to go there at some point and get a free meal.
Yeah.
Carmen's estate gets a lot of free press from us. We should look into somehow capitalizing on that.
Capitalizing on
Talk
the
to his grandchildren.
Christian singer, yeah.
Yeah.
We should definitely do that.
I wonder how much like views and traffic we've driven his way.
The
From
Carmen,
people
like,
that
people
hear him
Google.
on here and are like, I want to go check out who that guy is that they mention all
You
the
can look
time.
up like Google search trends, right?
Yeah.
We could see
Yeah.
if there's any kind
People also ask.
of, yeah, if anybody's searched for
Yeah.
Carmen, if that's spiked at all. Now, usually I don't do a subscriber dare when someone just wants us to plug something.
That's too late. I did it because I didn't know that.
No, but I agreed to this one.
Oh, okay.
Because he seems sincere and he
Yeah.
seems like he's a good guy that's trying. Because sometimes people will just be like, hey, link to my SoundCloud album.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, well, then you just, because if a subscription costs you $100 a year or whatever, like
Yeah.
you just paid $100 for an ad spot on the podcast, and that's a deal. Because usually our ad spots are at least $120.
I now want to check out his bistro. That
I
seems
didn't see. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
cool.
The bistro that the Babylon Bee podcast built. Well, let's talk about what's in the news this week.
What's in the news this week?
Well, we talked about midterms. Democracy was on the ballot, and there was a lot of stuff going on around that. Now, you guys might notice our I voted stickers,
Got the Vermont special here.
and we have an update on these. So this was a crowd fund. What was it, like a poll to see who could design the best I voted sticker?
Yeah. And what was it, an 8 or 9-year-old or something designed these?
It makes me laugh every
That'll
time
be
I
a
see-
disturbed 8-year-old.
All right, so this is a tweet that says, I don't know if you all remember the I Voted sticker design contest for Ulster County that went viral on the internet. All voted for this design, but it really did win, and they are actually using it for the current election.
They're fantastic. I would like to see them use these elsewhere.
This is awesome. And so there's a poll worker that actually has a roll of these stickers. We have these ones made, but
Yeah.
these
It's
are
this generation's Bodie McBoatface.
Bodie
Yes.
McBoatface of I Voted stickers. Yes, absolutely.
Ahead of the election, Biden administration and the media were telling us to brace for a red mirage. They were saying Republicans are going to look like they're winning, but then after a couple hours and a couple days and they count, the ballots, Democrats might win. Seems shady, maybe? The actual quote from Karine Jean-Pierre was, we may not know all the winners of these elections for a few days. It takes time to count all legitimate ballots in a legal and orderly manner. That's how this is supposed to work.
I don't know if you're allowed to voice a black gay
Oh, that's so
character.
true. Appropriation.
Yeah.
3 times over.
That's not, yeah, I don't know if that's shady or if it's just weird that we can no longer count all the votes in a night.
It's weird that it's not consistent across states. We can agree that's weird.
It's a little strange to me. I don't know.
The oddballs in Arizona are like doing their crystal healing chakras
Whatever
and
it
eating
is.
peyote and
Is it a
free-
function, though, also of just how close elections have been lately? Like, it seems like they are, like...
I think it's a function of all the mail-in ballots. Is
Yeah.
what I think it is.
There's a legendary picture from the 2000 election, which was, the famous Bush v. Gore
hanging
of,
chads.
of the guy with like
Yeah.
his eyes
Yeah.
bugged out. Like,
Trying to figure
Yeah.
out. But even that, like the election was counted in one night, and they did recounts.
They kept
Yeah.
recounting
It was
yeah.
recounts that were taking forever, not the original count. ABC News said GOP leads will dwindle or crumble completely after perceived dumps of votes are recorded by state election officials who count mail-in and absentee ballots in the days or even weeks following election day. Yeah, so it just seems like this is not the norm that we're used to of the night of election of the
You used
election.
to know
you
the next day.
watch it, and
except
then
in rare cases. Like,
yeah,
who
if you
was the
stayed up late,
winner.
you might even know the results
Yeah.
like that same night. So, all right, well, that's strange.
And this was hilarious. The New York Times put out a list of ways. This was real. It looked like it was parody. The New York Times put out a list of ways to cope with election night, like
man.
stress, and they have 5 ways to soothe election stress. 1, try 5-finger breathing. Trace the outside of your hand with your pointer finger. When you trace up, breathe in, and when you trace down, breathe out. Cool down. Plunge your face into a bowl with ice water for 15 to 30 seconds.
I actually did that. I was super stressed. No. Who does
Your
this?
face into a bowl of ice water.
And if you're a Republican, you make it red water, and then if you're Democrat,
yeah.
you can experience the
Food
red
coloring.
wave,
The
or
red
the blue
wave.
wave, whatever you want. Move. Even a walk around the block can offer some relief for an uneasy mind. And then you can do this is the best one.
I don't know if I can read it. It's too funny. Breathe like a baby. Focus on expanding your belly as you breathe, which can send more oxygen to the brain. All right, we're breathing like babies.
And last but not least, limit your scrolling. Consider plotting out specific times and you'll look for election updates. Some of these are like the iPhone automated, hey, your screen time is up, and they tell you in the middle of church every Sunday, or like, don't forget to breathe, your watch.
I didn't know that was a thing.
But this
Yeah.
is clearly for like left-leaning people.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're like worried
There's
about.
this. I never understand this. It's like, back in the 2016 election when Trump won. It's like I, as a Republican living in New York and living in California, rarely ever have my candidates or the things I've voted for ever
just
won.
accept it.
Yeah.
And the next day I come in and I'm like,
They all lost.
it is what it is. I came in the next day and it's like, oh. It's like they have like PTSD when they lose an election, and they're freaking out about it, and they need to do their meditative yoga exercises to relieve their stress.
This thing.
We should do 5 of our own and make it all things that they actually do, like scream at the sky.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure every single thing I voted for lost.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah,
it
I'm
usually
pretty
was
sure.
brutal.
I don't know, like every proposition,
Yeah.
I was like, no, I don't want people to have the right to kill babies. No, I don't want people to gamble on their phones or whatever the different things were. And I think all of them.
Yeah.
My guy though, my representative for like the district it's basically Simi Valley and then Palmdale area and Santa Clarita. Mike Garcia won by 10 plus points.
He's a Republican.
Republican. And
Yeah, I've met Mike Garcia before. Yeah, he's cool.
I ran into him at a barbecue restaurant. Super cool.
Nice.
He had like signs everywhere. And it was interesting because anecdotally, I noticed that just from living there, we only saw one sign on our commutes from the other lady running against him. Ben Shapiro, like he gave data to what we had observed because he said like last week, Democrat funding is slim to nil in Mike Garcia's district, even though it could be like potentially a contested seat. They just gave up on it. And like we observed it anecdotally.
So you got one of your things that you voted
Yes,
for.
it felt so
Just
good.
Mike Garcia.
It's just nice to win one sometimes.
Nice to win one. Yeah. Well, now you're going to get anxious about elections, and you're going to have to plunge your face into
Trace your
bowl.
fingers. And...
It reads like a troll. It reads.
It does. It reads like it's a joke.
you try
Like no
sticking
one
your
would
head
ever
in a bucket
actually
of
be
ice
that
and-
stressed.
Ice bath.
Yeah.
I've never heard the ice water one.
No.
Shoving your
And it
face
seems
in
like
it.
something where you would have like a hidden camera. Like, let's see if they actually do it. He's doing it.
There were April Fool's
The
ones.
idiot splashed his face with ice water.
Okay, so I'm a big dummy. Like I've been gotten by these. April 1st, a couple years ago, Google was like, "Hey, we've come up with incredible technology. Touch your iPhone to your nose, and we can make a smell come out." And I was like,
Oh, I
"This
remember
can't
that.
be."
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, I'm a fool."
Yeah. They should make a troll one.
Yeah.
You're stressed
Hidden
about the
camera.
election. Try chewing on a Tide Pod. It relieves stress. It'll make you feel better.
Oh my gosh. All right. Awesome.
And then, of course, there were election day issues. 20% of Maricopa County in Arizona, 20% of their locations had issues with electronic tabulation machines, which scan your ballot, causing some chaos to people who showed up to vote in person. Katie Hobbs is in charge of these, and she is running for governor against Republican Carrie Lake.
Yeah, you heard that early on.
yeah.
I was hearing that news come out that some of them were like, "Oh, we ran out of paper. Our printer's not working."
And the crazy part is, it's razor thin. As of my last checking the numbers, it was a 10,000 person difference. Like Katie Hobbs was up by a mere 10,000 votes, and like I can picture 10,000 people getting irritable. Like, I've waited in line. I'm just not going to vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they sued to keep the places open later, and then that got
That was
turned down.
denied, yeah.
That was denied, yeah. The Republicans sued. We want more people to vote, and that got turned down.
Yeah, voter suppression. Oh, I experienced
suppression.
voter suppression at my polling place. We'll get back to Arizona, but I've got to tell this story.
Okay.
Some of the people were wearing masks, and I felt threatened
Oh, sad.
as a
I
conservative.
did look when I was in line. I look, and when I see masked people, I'm like, I know where they're voting. And then
Exactly.
the other thing I do is when I look at people in line, I assume all the attractive people are voting Republican and all the weirdos. I was like, oh, that's another Democrat over there.
So I stood like next to my wife
I have
as
other
we
assumptions
voted.
I make, but I don't want to say it.
I would count this as washing your wife in the water of the word, like Ephesians 5. You know, because I was like,
Yeah, we all know that.
We had we had a voter guide that my friend had sent me like, you know, a few hours before. And then we found another one, and one of them was in Comic Sans. And we were like, oh, this is like a janitor wrote this voter guide.
Wait,
But-
so you had a voter guide in Comic Sans and you followed it?
And you doubted it. You doubted a little bit because it was in Comic
Yeah,
Sans.
but I mean, what could I do? I was like right there. And the earlier one that I had, it was searchable, which was nice. The other one, I had to like, you know, find it. But yeah, between the two of us, we were able to like, she was trying to troll their Instagrams. Like, she looks like a lib. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
we figured it out.
All right, well. Well, the kind of one bright spot, it seemed, was Florida.
Very, very bright spot. Yeah.
Florida went full Republican blowout. And this was part of what contributed towards the weird roller coaster emotions of the night. Is the beginning, you were like, oh my gosh, Ron DeSantis, like, won 120% of the
Yeah.
vote in Florida.
He did win by almost 20 points or something like that. And he flipped Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach County. Yeah, it was just...
He was taking Hispanics.
And Marco Rubio there won by a large margin also.
Won by almost 2 million votes.
Yeah.
Abbott beat Beto by double digits in Texas. That was always at the last call. I don't know why that guy keeps running.
Beto
He's
did
0 for 3 now.
Yeah, Beto did a hat trick, like 3 different offices, 3 different L's. Good
just
for him.
loses
He's
every
the
time.
goat
I
of
don't
losing.
He's not even like a career politician. He's like a career loser.
Yeah.
At all moments, he's running a losing campaign
I
somewhere.
got a feeling like he's going to fail up, though. Like, he'll end up becoming vice president or something. That's what happened to Kamala.
Yeah, she never really achieved
She
anything,
lost
and
every
then it's like,
election and
yeah.
then all of a sudden was vice president.
Possible. He is like one of those like safe, like doesn't steal the spotlight kind of background guys.
Did you see his TikTok?
I did not see anyone's
I hate-
TikTok.
We have to play Beto's TikTok. Let's play.
For a yellow bone, long hair star. Thick in the hips, come get in my car.
I'm sorry that you had to see that.
Democratic heroes, again, Beto O'Rourke, Stacey Abrams, Charlie Crist. You'd think they would give it up.
All have spent hundreds of millions of combined dollars.
Like
to
for-
just
and
lose
yeah, and
horribly.
Stacey Abrams also, who's just like a perennial loser. Like,
And she actually conceded the race.
that's good. She's showed some personal growth there.
Although she's
That's not a weight joke.
Now it is.
It wasn't until I said it wasn't.
Yeah, look what you did.
She showed
twice the
she
person
shows
she
a
used
lot
to
of
be.
personal
But
growth. She's a
she's-
bigger woman than she used to be.
But she's still president of Earth, however.
Yes, in the fictional world of
We
Star
will
Trek.
always have Star Trek.
Yeah.
And Michigan voted for Whitmer again, so that's nice. And Michigan and California voted in overwhelming majorities to enshrine abortion in their constitutions, which is horrible. Republicans.
And you were saying the way I noticed too, like on the ballot, it was worded in a way that was very like pro.
I know California probably will still vote
Yes.
to enshrine it or whatever, but it doesn't say like legalize abortion in all cases.
Yes.
It says I don't
protect the reproductive. It's that
really
flowery
funny.
wording.
It says
yeah.
to protect reproductive medical care and contraception. Like
Yeah.
that's
And
part.
you
That's the
group it
title.
together
And-
because then it makes them run to
Contraception,
yeah,
I don't want to be
all,
against that. Yeah.
I want to use condoms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Republicans are favored to take the House. The Senate is the big, like, we're still waiting on results. 3
Yeah.
contentious races are still being tallied.
It seems like Trump might have lost Republicans the Senate.
There were a lot of yes. The Trump effect was not good in this election necessarily.
And it's crazy
Is
because
he done? Is he finally done?
that's the
Let's see.
big question.
I don't think he's done.
Just keep
But
going.
I think this reflects badly on him.
Yeah. That was what the Daily-
I think what it's way. I think there will still be people who seek his endorsement for things. I think there are certain blocks of Republicans, even in like a national election, that will be a good thing. I think where it hurts him most is the DeSantis win and the people that were, won that were not Trump things. It were not Trump supporters.
It seems to
It
provide
weakens his case for running again, I think.
it seems to provide a path forward for the Republican Party. Do what
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis did,
yeah.
Yes.
and you have a chance of winning.
And that's what the Daily Wire guys were saying. I was watching, they did a marathon election coverage, and they were just all like finding the silver lining in DeSantis. But then the big question mark was Trump. Like, but it is different when he
Finding
turns
the Nate Silver lining.
the Nate Silver
It's called in
lining.
an election.
It is different when he turns it on for his own race and he's like full charisma, hugging the flag, chasing the hat of a Marine as it falls off and blows away. Like it's different when it's him, not just him trying to be kingmaker, but him hogging all the charisma. He has a little more success there.
Well, for one, here at the Babylon Bee as satirists, we are excited that Fetterman will be around for years to go.
Yeah, we'll be able to continue to make jokes in poor taste.
Tasteless.
About Ron Fetterman.
Yes, jokes about the mentally
Frankenstein jokes, Shrek
Yeah.
jokes. Yeah.
All right, now if the election news is stressing you out, go stick your face in a bowl of ice water. And now let's do some non-election news. So a man has built a 3,000-pound tomb to preserve flaming hot Cheetos for thousands and thousands of years into the future. What is this made out of?
Wow, I didn't heard this story.
It's a bag of flaming hot Cheetos. It was placed into cast resin and then covered by 3,000 pounds of concrete. And he says the location is a complete secret. And he is buried flaming hot
Just
Cheetos.
the way I found the land to bury it was by posting to my Instagram. Does anyone own land in the Pacific Northwest that would be willing to let me bury something on their property, not a dead body? And a very nice couple replied and saying they'd love to be a part of the project.
And
That's always what I say when I want to bury something that's not a dead body.
It's not a body.
and attached
It is the same size and shape as a body, though.
it's in this bag. Don't open
Yeah.
it. Attached to the crypt is a golden plaque that just reads Flamin' Hot Cheetos. And it gives the ingredients.
And the ingredient list, so we can recreate it in the
Maybe,
future.
millions of years from now, when there's
They'll discover it.
They'll discover the Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Or after the nuclear apocalypse, we'll stumble upon it and it'll carry us through.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's go to our Babylon Bee banger of the week. The Flamin' Hot article of the week. Treasure in heaven is great, but it's not going to buy you a tank of gas. So let's take a moment to briefly review the current state of our economy and the global effect the war between Russia and Ukraine has had. We're in for a tough year here, and Biden's printing and spending could be catastrophic for the US dollar and the market. That's why a growing number of financial analysts are recommending you diversify with gold and silver now. And the only company we recommend is Allegiance Gold. Our friends at Allegiance Gold can help you protect your IRA or 401k with physical gold and silver and have it delivered securely right to your door. The team at Allegiance Gold takes the time to educate their clients on the importance of having a financial portfolio that's diversified with gold and silver. Allegiance Gold has been one of the top precious metals firms in the nation for their commitment to protecting your hard-earned savings. They have an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, a 5-star rating with TrustLink, and they're AAA rated with the Business Consumer Alliance. If you act now by calling them and you mention Babylon Bee, they'll even give you $500 of free silver on a qualified purchase. Call 844-790-9191 to get this exclusive offer. Or you can visit allegiancegold.com/B. That's B-E-E. Call 844-790-9191. That's 844-790-9191. Or visit allegiancegold.com/BEE.
Banger of the week.
Democrats worried Republicans may take lead beyond margin of cheating.
That's good.
Such a good joke that the browser just disappeared.
Browser crashed.
I think that was a Joel Berry number.
That was, yeah. Well, and the election rigging and cheating stuff wasn't so much of a discussion point. I know we talked about the Maricopa County stuff, and there was a couple of things that people were like, that's a little weird, but it didn't seem like that was as much of a...
It seemed like both sides going into it were laying the groundwork to contest things. And I think
things,
I mean, we'll see if that happens yet or not. I didn't hear a lot of actual complaints of stealing and rigging yet, but we'll see if that
I've never super been convinced that there is rigging. I do think mail-in votes is just super hard to overcome. And I don't think that it's necessarily ballot harvesting and all this stuff. But if you're a liberal woman and you've got a few kids and you get 4 ballots mailed to your house, you're going to fill them all out, even if your kids normally wouldn't be engaged, or convince them, hey, fill this out, and then go drop them off at the place. And that's just,
I think it increases numbers in that way,
So,
or you do the biblical thing if you're a wife and you have your husband fill it out for you.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. That's what Dan does for his wife. Good. Well,
here's the bomb of the week.
Bomb of the week.
I don't understand why I'm struggling with sin so much, says man who hasn't read Bible since January 2nd.
That one's good.
It's a good pointed headline, yeah.
Very, very cleverly written and worded. All right, let's move on to Sizzler Facts. 20 weeks ago, we debuted a new feature to the podcast called Sizzler Facts. On November, do we have the Sizzler comment? Someone asked us if we could do a Sizzler Fact about Provo, Utah, because one of our subscribers drove by a Sizzler for the first time in Provo, Utah. So we found a Sizzler Fact about that Sizzler in Provo, Utah. I think we found this on their Facebook page. On November 11th, 2019, the Provo Sizzler branch offered a free meal to veterans to thank them for their service. Service members got to choose between a 6-ounce tri-tip steak, Malibu chicken, or 6 crispy shrimp. The free meal could be claimed between the hours of 11 a.m. and 4 p.m.
That was appropriately sober.
Yeah. This has been a Sizzler Facts.
And that was for Jay Baker, our subscriber.
Jay Baker was the one who asked for that.
So, yeah. All right.
And Jarret Lemaster chimed in the podcast channel and said he drove
Jarret
by the
Lemaster
Provo.
chimed in on something?
He said he drove by that Provo Sizzler and it looked wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's nice they let you choose the entree. It's like they offer choices.
All about choice, yeah.
I'm surprised that Jarret said that something was amazing. That's he usually doesn't like things.
He's like an enthusiasm factory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to weekly news with Adam Yenser.
It's time for the weekly news with Adam Yenser.
The results of Tuesday's midterm elections are in, and after fending off a black man running from him, John Fetterman fended off a Muslim running against him. Truly a progressive icon. The world's tallest woman, who is 7'1", was able to take her first flight after an airline removed 6 seats to accommodate her. Meanwhile, the world's fattest man will simply be crammed into a regular seat next to you. Beauty pageant queens Miss Puerto Rico and Miss Argentina revealed on Instagram that they secretly got married to each other. Said 6th grade boys, "Hey, can we have those gay people come and push their lifestyle on us? You know, instead of drag queen Doris?" This week, Eminem, Dolly Parton, and Judas Priest were all inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which has been renamed the, well, you know, I listen to a little bit of everything Hall of Fame. After being kicked off of Twitter for impersonating Elon Musk, Kathy Griffin used her dead mother's account to log back in. Kathy was able to unlock the app on her mom's phone after the facial recognition mistook her for a corpse. A fugitive from New York who was wanted for fraudulently using COVID funds was arrested when a federal inspector recognized him in line at Disney World. It really is a small world after all. The fugitive was accused of fraudulently using COVID funds totaling $150,000 to buy 1 ticket to Disney World. ABC announced that Jimmy Kimmel will host the Oscars in March and has warned celebrities not to slap him because, unlike Chris Rock, he will cry. A U.S. military pilot flying over Syria drew a giant penis with his flight path. General Mark Milley says the military has launched an investigation to determine whether it was a man or a woman's penis. Ricky Gervais accused James Corden of stealing a joke from his latest comedy special. Although Corden insists he didn't steal the joke, he was just karaokeing it. Nick Cannon announced that he is expecting his 11th baby with model Alyssa Scott. The baby is due in March, or as Cannon put it, 3 more babies from now. In order to save time going forward, Cannon will only announce when he's not expecting a baby. A cheating scandal called Baggate has rocked the sport of professional cornhole after both championship teams were caught using underfilled beanbags. The scandal could cost dozens of dollars in endorsement deals. Professional cornhole, the only sport where even if you win, you're still a loser. On Halloween, Tom Brady dressed as the Grim Reaper to take his kids trick-or-treating. And just like the Baltimore Ravens, they finished the night with 2 sacks. That's it for weekly news. To see more, check out my YouTube channel and catch me live at TK's Comedy Club in Dallas this weekend and at the Comedy Chateau in North Hollywood November 18th.
Well, that was a gem of a comedy segment on our podcast.
Well, thank you.
Now it is time for a gem of Christian scholarship. We found this book. It was brought to us by one of our video editors, Especially for Wives, When Was the Last Time by Dr. Michael A. Campion. We're going to look through this great book for advice for wives to help everyone's marriages. Let's take a look. All right, so this book is called Especially for Wives, When Was the Last Time? Do we have a publishing date on this? This was published by Bethany Fellowship Incorporated.
Based on hairstyles, it's 50s. I'm going to...
No way. No way.
It's copyright 79.
1979.
Oh,
Yeah, it's definitely 70s. So the whole shtick of this book is that it asks, when was the last time to wives?
My wife did something.
When was the last
for
time you
her
did something?
husband,
And then every page is a stock image or an image that they took, plus when was the last time you did this or that. So we'll take a look at a few of these.
And are there scriptures
No.
associated with it, or
No,
it's just...
it's super brief.
Oh, okay.
When was the last time I was more aggressive in sex?
Oh,
So far, it's gone exactly where I thought it would go.
When was the last time I told him I was happy with his salary? And that guy's very I don't know, she's holding up his paycheck saying, I was happy with his salary. You want to find a couple in here?
Yeah, oh yeah. Let's go to a
just-
random page.
go to a
Let's
random-
see here. That one's too sincere. When was the last time I did not put my cold feet in the middle of his back?
And the picture they took.
Oh, and the picture is it looks like a horror movie monster leaping out of.
I picture a days since counter with days since I put my cold feet in the middle of his back. Oh man, back to 0.
It has
Did
been
again tonight.
173
Yeah.
Any others in here?
Days since a cold feet accident.
When was the last time I stopped talking on the phone when my husband came home from work? And he's like, it looks like he's out shoveling snow. And
she's like hanging
up the phone.
Oh, he's coming in.
Do you think this is meant to be funny at all?
Like, I think it's a little tongue in cheek with like the foot. Like obviously that was a comedic bit.
Yeah.
But some of them are very like the salary thing. Like when's the last time I just told my husband I was happy with his salary?
When was the last time I surprised my husband with an unexpected kiss?
Oh,
just totally interrupting his guitar
while
playing.
he's playing guitar. Like it's annoying. It's
like playing guitar. I'm in the middle of Wonderwall.
Yeah.
When was the last time I respected him and let him know it?
Hey, I respect you, and I want you to know that.
And maybe hang up the phone when I come home.
This one will take the cake. When was the last time I slimmed down?
Oh, nice.
Wow. Brutal.
Based.
She's looking at it. So she's looking at herself in the mirror there. So
when I saw when did I not take all the covers?
Last time I did not take all the covers. Oh, man. There's a lot of sex in here.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised by that.
When was the last time I showed enthusiasm for the things that are important to him? And the best part of this one is he's playing with a ham radio.
Yes.
Ham radio
His little
operator.
She's like, oh, what are you doing? Now, this is a good one. When was the last time I expressed pleasure in our sex life? And there's like two relatively old...
Fairly old. They look like they're at least 60, maybe older.
When was the last time I was sexually relaxed and free? I want to know. This is telling us more about the guy who wrote this book, maybe.
I'm still caught up on the ham radio operator. That's that generation's Minecraft.
Yeah.
You're doing great, honey. Keep building.
Now, this one's kind of weird. When was the last time I took up activities or friendship outside our home? Like, it's like saying...
Like, why don't you get out of here for a while?
I'm working on my ham radio.
You hang out with your friend.
That's pretty good. So
it's a great book.
This is great. So if you guys are having trouble in your marriages, we highly recommend, especially for wives, when was the last time? It'll help you, like, remind yourself to slim down, be more aggressive in sex.
Oh,
what would the husband equivalent be? I don't even know.
When was the last time you helped him calm down by splashing ice water in his face?
He doesn't say that. Awesome. All right, well, Jarret talked to writer, director, and producer Brock Heasley about a new project he's been working on called The Shift.
Take it away, Jarret.
And now for another interview on The Bee Weekly.
Well, hey, this is the interview show here at the Babylon Bee, and we're very, very excited to have a producer, a director, a writer, and we're very, very happy to have Brock Heasley on, the director, producer of The Shift, the writer as well. And so I just kind of wanted to have you on today and talk to you a little bit about who you are, a little bit about what The Shift is, what you guys are doing, and to let the people that are the beef people know what you guys are up to. So, so Brock, who are you?
Who am I? Man, that's a big question.
Yeah.
I think who I am is who we just discussed just a second ago before we got on here, which is that I am first and foremost a child of God.
Yeah, there we go.
And but I'm also a child of God who's super into sci-fi and loves movies, and so I am making a sci-fi movie that also deals with matters of faith and does so in a way that I think is going to be appealing to believers, but also that is going to hold a lot of appeal for people who are not. We're making a film here with Angel Studios that is unique, that is, I believe, going to be able to reach a lot of different kinds of people. Because first and foremost, we're trying to make a great film. I am a fan of sci-fi and especially good sci-fi and even hard sci-fi. And I'm not going to pretend that I've made a hard sci-fi movie. I'm no scientist. I'm no expert, but I'm certainly inspired by the great works of science fiction, and I'm excited to do a film that takes that part of it seriously, and then asks, "Where's God in all of that?" Yes. And I think that's something that is often missing from a lot of sci-fi films. I always make the comparison of thinking about Interstellar, which is a movie I really love, but Matthew McConaughey at the end there. He's heading for a black hole, and he just goes right in. And I don't know about you, but I'd probably take a minute, say a little prayer.
Yes.
and
he was probably like, nah, and then he went right in. That's a Matthew McConaughey thing. So I'm going to butcher this, but C.S. Lewis has a quote about science fiction. you could probably get a little bit more precise with this. But he talks about how science fiction is a really great conduit for theological ideas. Do you know this? Yeah. Do you know the quote I'm talking about?
I don't know this quote, but I absolutely agree with that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, science fiction traditionally has always been a conduit for ideas. When we think about Star Trek, which I also love, going all the way back to the 60s, they would talk about the social issues of the day, civil rights, different things like that, but they would do it with, green-skinned aliens so that everybody could come to the table and enjoy it as a story. And if you wanted to dig a little bit deeper, it was right there, like usually just right on the surface, exactly what they were talking about and what issues they were dealing with. And so science fiction, it works in allegory, it works in metaphor, it works in these spaces. And that means you can apply anything to science fiction. Science fiction can be about anything at its core, but we just have never, or very rarely, it's certainly not in film that I can think of, have we seen science fiction deal with faith and deal with matters of faith in a metaphorical and allegorical way. And that's what we're doing with The Shift.
I love that. I think that I think some of my favorite, I'm a huge science fiction fan too. And I remember this last year, so I have a bunch of kids. I have four boys, and it's crazy in our household. But I tried to show them the original Star Wars, and you got to kind of like get used to the pacing because the kids are used to Marvel movies and stuff. But if you get used to the pacing, then you can watch these Star Wars episodes, and it deals with all kinds of stuff, especially civil rights, like back in the early days. My question to you is this: what are your favorite science fiction books? And then secondly, what are your favorite science fiction movies? And why is it 12 Monkeys?
12 Monkeys is a good one, I'm not gonna lie. But as far as my favorite movie goes, my go-to favorite movie and also favorite science fiction movie, they're the same movie, is Gattaca.
Oh, okay.
I love Gattaca, which is a film that maybe not everybody's familiar with. It stars Ethan Hawke and Jude Law and Uma Thurman, and it's about this guy who is growing up in a society in which everybody's genomes are mapped, and they can manipulate genetics to basically produce exactly the kinds of babies and people they want to be. And Ethan Hawke was not produced this way. So he is very much fighting the system and trying to be more than what the world tells him that he is, which I see a lot of just right there in that description. I see a lot of parallels to our journey as children of God, and being told we're this, and we're saying, no, we're more than that. We have a divine connection. And I don't know, I connect with Gattaca probably on a level the filmmakers did not intend, but I find so much inspiration in stories like that, where people are trying to triumph against the system, which is very similar to what we're doing with The Shift, where we've got this protagonist who is, really in a tight spot and is fighting against a world that is really trying to keep him down and really coming after him. As a person of faith, how do we deal with that? Because I feel that's what we're all dealing with every day. The world can feel like this very oppressive thing that we're all kind of stuck in together. Yeah. And I think dealing with those kinds of topics are what's exciting to me.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. Gattaca, I saw Gattaca a long time ago, and I've seen it since. And it's kind of a dystopian world. Is that kind of what you're creating with The Shift?
Yeah, I mean, with Gattaca, it's like this sterile dystopian world where everything's very clean and everybody's wearing suits, and so it's kind of the opposite of what you think of when you think of visually dystopia. But I think that's one of the reasons that movie is so interesting, is because it is a dystopia, but it's like a clean dystopia. We're probably going for more of a dirty dystopia. Yeah, probably a little bit more in the Children of Men realm. Yeah, but yeah, the Shift very much is about this dystopian reality in which a character that we call the benefactor, who will very quickly, it'll be obvious that he's actually the devil, where he's taken over. And he's taken over for a very specific reason. And our guy is stuck in this reality in which the benefactor is in charge, and he's hunted and he's wanted, and he is doing his best to get out of that world. We do deal with the multiverse a little bit. And so I think there's some exciting things to explore within that. Yeah,
there's been a few movies that I really enjoy that are kind of the clean dystopian thing. And I really like, and that's sort of the Orwellian sort of, or the clean dystopia is sort of the Orwellian dystopia, right? Like where everything's really structured and people are wearing the same uniforms and things like that. And I guess with the Huxley vision too. I mean, I guess people are pretty uniform, aren't they? But I have a tendency to like what you're talking about as well, like these dystopian stories where everything's sort of like trashed and everything's, it's almost like the Mad Max world. Not quite there, but it's like kind of like a Mad Max world with a structure, with an infrastructure. Very, very cool. Like I love all that stuff. I think it's so cool. Now, how did you get into it? And what are the books that really influenced you in terms of this style?
So I came into film and into telling this story actually came before I got into film. And, I was influenced a lot by just, I don't know that it was books so much other than like, the Bible. I think the temptation, that's a book. It's a pretty important one.
Yeah.
I hear there's several books within that book, but yes,
it's a library.
It's a library. But I think kind of my jumping off point when I think about the shift is really there's two jumping off points. Number one is the temptation of Christ in the wilderness, and when he's basically offered the riches of the world if he'll just bow down and worship Satan. And there's a moment like that for our protagonist, and then also the book of Job. Hugely influential on crafting this story. I find the story of Job so fascinating. It's a story about a man who already believes, and then all the garbage happens to him, and then all this bad stuff happens to him. And sometimes I think we get stuck in thinking that, just because we're believers or because we've put our trust in Christ that, that now things should work out. Sometimes I think that's the messages that we get from our stories is that, once you come to believe, then things are going to work out for you. And I believe that over and over and over again, the Bible is teaching us, no, the exact opposite is true.
Yeah.
that things oftentimes are actually going to get harder for you. I think of Job. I think of think about everything Moses went through after his conversion. Think about what happened to Joseph. I mean, over and over again, we get these stories of people who are staunch believers, and then they just go through these terrible, terrible trials. The thing is that I don't think that's very different from our lives and what we're going through right now. And the lesson of the gospel isn't that everything's going to get easier, but that through Christ and through putting our faith and trust in him, that he can make our burdens lighter.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important distinction that doesn't get talked about enough. So I'm excited for this film to show a man who comes to faith and then things get worse. And then how do you reconcile that? How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And I think that there's an opportunity there to give people some hope and also mostly, and most importantly, because otherwise, if you don't do this part, nobody's going to care about the other part. To make a really just like awesome, like ripping yarn, just a great story that's exciting and action packed and all of that within the story of Job. I know that sounds crazy, but it'll make sense when you see the movie. Yeah,
I'm very excited about it, and I think was it you were saying about us thinking somehow we got the theology that once we receive Christ, we're going to, things are going to go well. You're going to be financially successful. You're going to be happy. All your relationships are going to be better. But, like I love it because that verse that people take out of context, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, really means I can endure all things through Christ who gives me strength. I can endure all things. And even in like Corinthians where Paul talks about it, he's like, look, I've gone through all this crazy stuff, like I was shipwrecked 5 times. I received the 50 lashes minus 1 or whatever, 39 lashes, I guess, minus 1. So he went through all kinds of hardships as a result of his following Christ. And but what we get in the end is that Jesus is our strength. Jesus is the end. He's the one that's in us. We get him as the prize. It's not all these things in the world that we get as the prize. So I love that. I love that you're tackling this. It's a high concept to try to put into a film, and I think it's a really important concept. And film is a really good way to do it. Now you got into film. How did you get into film? Like, what's your story there?
So I kind of went through my own Job moment. I was a graphic designer and art director for about 15 years, and then unceremoniously, one day within 24 hours of each other, my wife and I both lost our jobs and had no idea what to do or where to go from that point.
So you were like, I'm going to go make a movie.
At first, no, it wasn't that at all. At first it was just, well, I got to go get another art job.
Yeah.
I got to go be an art director somewhere else. And I did a lot of interviews, but I was always the number 2 guy. Like they just wouldn't pick me. And it was a very confusing time. And it was one of those times when I definitely looked to God now and just like, I don't understand. Like I have 3 kids. I have a house that I just bought. I've been doing things I think pretty well. Been trying to serve you, and I don't understand why all of a sudden now I can't pay my bills, and and it looks like I'm not going to be able to for a long time because I cannot get another job. And that's when I was approached by a production company, and they said, "Look, we don't have any money to give you, but we think you're." I was blogging at the time, and like, we think you're a talented writer. Why don't you come and make stories with us? And that was insane. Like who's going to do that?
Yeah.
But I went and I prayed about it, and my wife prayed about it, and after about a month, we came back together, and it was like, "Hey, well, what answer did you get?" And we both got the same answer, which was, yeah, I need to go and do this and not make any money and go into film, which I've always loved movies, but I've never dreamed up until that point. I never dreamed that I would ever be making them.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, it was about a year after that I made the shift to short film, which was my first script, my first directing job that I've given to myself. And mostly I just did it because I felt like it was something I needed to do. And that was kind of the theme for that period of time where it was like, I really don't know what to do. So just lead me, tell me what to do. And I did everything that made no sense.
Yeah.
I continued to make no money. I made this film that I had no place to go with it. I mean, just a short film mixing sci-fi and faith. There's no audience for that. At least back then there wasn't. But all of those moves turned out to be the right moves to where I am here now. And now I'm looking at shooting this feature film based on this short film that I had no idea why I was making. I'm going to be shooting that here in about 2.5 months.
That's amazing.
So it's been an incredible journey and an inspired one.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, and you guys, it's pretty incredible. You got connected with Angel Studios. And they're so awesome. The Harmons are so cool. And we've had them on here, and we're connected to those guys too. And we love Angel Studios and The Chosen and all the people that you're kind of working with, like Justin Overlander. Yeah. And we had Justin on not too long ago too. And
Justin's such a good guy.
Oh, he's such a good dude. And yeah, we did a show in Washington. I guess it was in Virginia and Washington D.C. Together a couple months ago. And
right.
Or I guess it wasn't months. It's like I guess it's like a month ago. It seems like a lot's happened since then. But we're just, we're big fans at the Bee, and we want to definitely highlight this, and we want to track your journey and make sure that our people know what's happening with you, so that they can get out and support the shift, which you are going to be shooting in when? Like January, like February?
Mid-January is when we start. Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
Dude,
We've got a number
crazy.
of chosen actors with us and some other great ones and more that we're going to be hiring soon. So things are really gearing up. But yeah, mid-January.
So mid-January, you're going to start the shoot, and then you're going to be editing for the next year, something like that. Maybe a release when? When do you think?
Well, we're hoping for an October 2023 release. Is kind of what we're aiming for, which is a little bit aggressive. Yeah. So if it doesn't happen, no one get mad at me. But that is what we're aiming for.
And where are you guys going to shoot?
We're going to hit it.
Where are you
We're going to be shooting in Georgia.
Oh, very cool. All right.
Yeah, right there in the Atlanta area.
Atlanta. Yes. There's a big old industry out there. That's very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
just like in Hollywood.
That is so crazy. Okay. Well, Brock, thank you so much for coming on. And we're so grateful that you took the time out of your busy day and decided to come talk to us. And we're going to definitely support the shift. We're going to tell our people to do the same. And go check it out.
I appreciate that, Jarret.
Keep your eyes peeled for the shift, you guys. And for Brock Heasley. Very cool. So thank you so much for coming.
All right, thank you.
What has 2 thumbs and watches the news? This guy. And if you watch the news, you might be getting depressed about how bad some things are getting. And if that isn't enough to convince you that our future is anything but certain, then I don't know what is. And if the unthinkable should ever happen, being able to reach your loved ones is absolutely vital. And let's be honest, your fragile little cell phone won't cut it. That's why we at the Babylon Bee have partnered with the Satellite Phone Store. Their revolutionary Bivy Stick uses encrypted satellite technology, which will allow you to text anyone, even if the grid is down. And for a limited time, you can get your own Bivy Stick for free, with an unlimited monthly texting plan for just $55 a month, if you go to sat123.com/bee, that's B-E-E, now. Never again worry about losing your ability to communicate in an emergency. Go to sat123.com/bee, that's sat123.com/bee, and get your free Bivy Stick today. Don't put it off. Life can change in an instant. Sat123.com/bee.
Oh, well, that was great. Everyone go check out The Shift as Brock Heasley works on the shift. Now it is time for hate mail.
I really miss Adam Ford.
We published a video called Top Signs You Should Leave Your Church. It was satirical, as are most of the videos that we do. And here's some comments.
The first one's from Jose Rodriguez. This would have been funnier if the guy wasn't overacting almost all his linen. His linen.
It goes without saying.
Can't even get a short sentence out without a typo in the hate mail.
Brandon's omni-talented, omnicompetent. I loved his delivery, especially the very last word, like you. It was good.
What it's all about.
You. Yeah, it was so good. Terry Panama says, I didn't get it, nor laugh one time. Missing an apostrophe, no punctuation at the end. Where do I start?
All right, here's Red Pill Bulgaria.
Those are the type of screen names that I want commenting on our stuff. It's so funny. Red Pill Bulgaria.
Red Pill Bulgaria
V2.0.
Not funny at all and kind of cringy. This one is a miss. Okay.
And it got one thumbs up.
This.
Here's one from Julia Ellman. Wish Babylon Bee took this more seriously. I'm sure that there, spelled wrong, are those who become upset over trite issues, but there are those of us who choose to leave over serious matters, such as the churches run by certain family members and not the pastor who is submitted to Christ. This just isn't a funny topic.
It's like she has very specific things in her past that she's upset about.
She should have tagged the church.
And certain family members. It's clearly like, you know who I mean if you're reading this.
Kenny Siefkin.
Her church has probably already gotten a 1-star Yelp review from her.
Already with the 1-star Yelp review, yeah. All right, well, thanks for joining us today, guys. Stay tuned if you're a subscriber. We've got a very special announcement in the subscriber lounge. We're going to say, "Aw, yeah." And we have subscriber headlines. And Sam, have you answered the 10 questions or the second set of 10 questions?
No, sir, neither.
All right, well, you're going to do the first set of 10 questions with Sam then. Here we go.
Coming up next, for Babylon Bee subscribers.
My sister was a mime for years, and then I was a mime for
Just answer the question, please. No, I just kidding.
No, I would like to go back to my sister is a mime for you.
Yeah, so
this is much more interesting.
So there was a thing called being a mime.
Thing in Christianity called being a mime. Help, I'm trapped by my sin. Jesus is pulling me out.
This has been another edition of the Bee Weekly from the dedicated team of certified fake news journalists you can trust here at the Babylon Bee. Reminding you that fake news of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.